Hello everyone, it's 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐽, and in today's video it's my first listen to Faith in Persona by Death's Dynamic Shroud. This album actually came out at the end of last year, but I kind of gave it a miss till now. I'm a casual fan of vaporwave music, and 5 years ago I was getting really into the dreamscapes of artists like Telepath and 𝐾𝐢, and I was exploring the vaporwave scene looking for more of this stuff that would become known as dreampunk. Somewhere along the way on this journey I came across Death's Dynamic Shroud and their album I'll Try Living Like This. But the album turned out to be pretty intense with its layers of plastic sounds. It really wasn't what I was looking for. So I disregarded it at that time, which may have been a mistake. They recently put out a new single called Judgment Bolt, which I gave a listen after seeing how much hype it was getting in the 𝐒𝐻𝐻𝐽 Discord, and I loved it. The masterful editing and the thrilling progression of the song made me realize I need to give this group another chance. Fuck. Sounds so good. So I decided to give this album a go, which is now being celebrated as one of the best albums of 2021. The rest of this video will be highlights from my live stream over on Twitch, where I listened to the album in full for the first time. And you can follow me over there on Twitch if you'd like to join me for more listening parties. So do me a favor and click the like button on this video, and let's get into the album. Alright, here we go. Track 1 is called Tear in Abyss. Or is it Tear in Abyss? Drums are hard hitting. Nice. A very unexpectedly pretty outro to an otherwise pretty heavy hitting track. Death's Dynamic Shroud, still the most intense act in vaporwave. Yeah, I was quite overwhelmed a couple points during that, but it was working for me. I did enjoy it. It just had such strong progression. Like each part came in so perfectly from the last. And it was unpredictable. I liked that too. Definitely gets the album off to a good start. Track 2 is called See Me. God damn. Oh god. I loved that track, I have to say. You just get great idea after great idea. I love the drums in that track. All the drums were wonderful. And the way the vocals are edited, that's really what's standing out to me as a strong point of this album so far. All the vocal edits have been incredible. I'm still not completely sure about the intensely plastic general MIDI kind of aesthetic that they use. It's interesting and they implement it really well, but it's very harsh on the ears, and I think that's probably what I'm remembering about my initial listens to Death's Dynamic Shroud, putting me off a little bit. At least this time I'm a bit better prepared for it. I know what I'm in for. Track 3 is the title track, Faith in Persona. Love those chords. It sounds to me like current pop music, but fed through a filter of vaporwave and, you know, those kind of MIDI aesthetics of the late 90s, early 2000s. In terms of the plastic sounds that I've said I'm not totally sold on, it's interesting though, and it reminds me of James Ferraro, who was also an artist that I was never completely sold on, even though I was interested in what he does, especially his Far Side Virtual album, which is said to be such a big influence on so much vaporwave. I always respected that album and found it very intriguing, but couldn't love it because it just sounded so ridiculous. I feel that that is just an aspect of this album, and I can almost appreciate it more because it's given this kind of context. But yeah, I mean, that last song, despite its kind of bizarre sound, you could easily imagine it being played on pop radio or for the dance floor. And that does seem to be the aesthetic they're going for. Track 4 is called Pop Chin. Oh yeah, love that arpeggio. Definitely hearing the parallels with hyperpop in this one. Could be something from PC Music, this one. Cool. So yeah, that one definitely felt more in line with the current day hyperpop scene. Towards the end there, I was feeling like the brightness of it was getting to that point of being slightly too overwhelming for me, but still really compelling stuff. Track 5. This is Someone in the Room. Oh shit. That was a very intense one. It was quite difficult to swallow at the start, but once I kind of got acclimated, it started to work for me. And I think the vocal samples were what really hooked me in the end. I mean, the way they were edited was really impressive. The way the vocals were cut and with this kind of slight swing, it was reminding me of some of my favorite stuff off Arca's Kick 3, like Ripples. You know, it's got that kind of intensity to it that works. Track 6 is called Just to Be Needed. Oh wow, this is different, isn't it? Those little explosions of strings are really nice. Well guys, I have to say I'm a little bit mixed on that song. There were aspects of it that I liked a lot. There were certain moments of beauty that did get through and touch me. But yeah, maybe for me it was not always overcoming the saccharine nature of its original samples. Instead of feeling like it was taking something cheesy and revealing something else inside of it, sometimes it just sounded cheesy to me. But that being said, there were moments where it did work, as I say. It did get moving and I did enjoy it. It just didn't work for its entire runtime for me. But still, very nice and some great ideas in it. On to track 7. It's called Last Minutes of the Memory. This is so much. This is really nice. Whoa, this is whacked out. Wow, well, that was definitely the peak of intensity on the album. There was a point early in the track where the plastic, sweet, and high frequency sounds were so intense that it was almost making me nauseous. I was really happy when it changed, but not just because it was going to give me a rest, but because it felt like it was opening up into this beautiful section. And then it got intense again, but in a whole different way. It felt really creative, especially that guitar solo that we're not even sure if it's a guitar. Yeah, really interesting. We'll listen to the last 2 tracks together, since this next one seems to be an interlude of sort. So it's track 8 and 9. The last track is called R.I.P. Okay, so there is some kind of like white noise. Some kind of wind sound. There is actually something here, unlike in Magic Window. This is perfect after Last Minutes of the Memory. This is actually beautiful. That was really beautiful. What a perfect last track. I love how it still carries the aesthetic of the album with the vocal chopping and the MIDI samples, but just does it all in a really subtle way, in a way that leaves you feeling calm and at peace, especially after how intense they built it up before that towards the end. Works so well at the end of the album. Loved it. And yeah, the vocal chopping in that song was no joke as well. It was really fast-paced and interesting. Gave it a really cool texture too. Ah, my goodness, what a trip. So on the whole, I did like the album. It did end up having some of the issues that I felt I had with Death's Dynamic Shroud off from what I'd heard before, in that some of the sounds were so plastic and so intense with them to the point where it's almost unpleasant to me, you know, like I can hardly take it. But they do so many creative things with it on this album, and so many other aspects of the album really elevate those sounds to another level for me. I mean, I loved the vocal edits almost through the whole thing. Something that I wasn't really expecting is just how well the album flows. It takes you on this journey through different levels of emotions and intensities. And I really liked that. Even if I wasn't totally in love with certain sounds on Just to Be Needed and Last Minutes of the Memory, the way they built up, the way they made me start to feel overwhelmed, but still along for the ride, was masterful. Especially once you have the come down of R.I.P. Fantastic. So yeah, especially in the second half of the album, I really enjoyed it for the journey. If perhaps maybe some of the earlier tracks were a bit more catchy and memorable. So yeah, really interesting album. I enjoyed the way they constructed it, even if I wasn't always in love with the sounds that they were using. It's definitely very unique. And Def's Dynamic Shroud obviously have a sound that they're going for here that is working for them. And they're an interesting act. I'm definitely on board to, see what this band is doing now. And as you guys know, I love Judgment Bolt, so I'll be looking forward to the new album. So let me know down in the comments what you think of this album. And if you missed the stream and would like to see the full unedited reaction, check out my Patreon. Whichever tier you support me at, you get access to the full archive of unedited reactions. And you'll be helping me to be able to keep making these videos, keep my channels going. So I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, take it easy.